Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Access Arabic. Today we continue with our Tajweed workshop series. We begin module number 12 and nabr. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. So module number 12, nabr. Nabr means to slightly raise the voice. We do this in order to pronounce one letter slightly more louder than another in order to bring attention to it. It occurs in 5 different circumstances in the Glorious Qur'an, and by that I mean there are 5 different situations or circumstances in which we will do nabr. So situation number 1 for nabr is when we stop on a letter that has a shaddah. This is because shaddah means there are 2 letters. We've covered this previously. Whenever we have shaddah, it means there is one letter that is sakina and another that is mutaharrika. But when stopping, both have become sakina. So for this reason we must do nabr in order to let the listener and for ourselves as a reciter to know that there are actually 2 letters there. One sakina, one mutaharrika. Because remember, we need to give every single letter of the Glorious Qur'an its haqq. But if we have made 2 letters sakina, we still need to make the listener know that there are 2 letters there. And the way to do this is by nabr, by raising our voice slightly to indicate that there are 2 letters there. Yes, of course, by stopping on a letter, we remove the harakah, we remove the vowel, but we never omit the letter. The letter itself still needs to be made apparent. It's just the harakat, the fatha, dhamma or kasra that we have omitted. The only exception to this is when we stop on a noon or a meme with a shaddah on it, because we do ghunna. And another exception is qalqala kubra, qalqala with a shaddah on it. This is because we will do ghunna if stopping on a noon or a meme with a shaddah on it, or we will do the strong qalqala when stopping on a qalqala letter, qutbu jaddin qa, qaf, ta, ba, jim, dal with a shadda on it. So this way the listener knows that there are 2 letters there. The listener knows that there is shadda there. So let's take a look at an example. So if we take a look at this first example, inshallah, we can see we have the word mustamirrun. So if we were to remove the shadda, it will be like this. Mustamirrun, and this is why it has a shadda, because there's 2 letters. One is sakina, one is mushaddada, so we join it together with a shadda. So if we were continuing to read it, it will be mustamirrun, but if we are stopping on it, as you know, we will make it sakina. We will remove the harakat, and that leaves us, so if we are stopping on it, it leaves us with mustamir, like this, mustamir. But we can't say mustamir. It sounds like there's only 1 letter there, but we know shadda means there's 2 letters. So we have to do nabr, we have to raise our voice slightly and make it mustamir. You can hear I'm raising my voice slightly in order to emphasize that there is a shadda there, in order to emphasize that I'm stopping on a mushaddada letter, in order to emphasize that I'm stopping on a letter that has a shadda on it. I have to raise my voice slightly, and this is called nabr. So instead of saying mustamir, I'm saying mustamir. I'm raising my voice slightly, I'm doing nabr. Likewise in this example here, we have al-hayyu. So if I was stopping on it, I will not say al-hayy. So if I'm stopping on al-hayyu, as you know, I will make it al-hayy, like this. I will remove the dhamma if I'm stopping on it, but I still need to show that there is 2 letters. So we do nabr, we raise the voice slightly, al-hayy. You'll notice on the ya, I'm raising my voice ever so slightly in order to show that I'm stopping on a mushaddada letter. Likewise, if we look at the third example, mustaqirrun. So if I'm continuing to read it, I will say mustaqirrun. But remember, if we are stopping on a mushaddada letter other than a noon or mim mushaddada or any of the qalqala letters, then we must do nabr in order to show that there's shadda, in order to show that there are 2 letters here. So when I'm stopping on the word mustaqirrun, I will say mustaqir. mustaqir, mustaqir. I'll raise my voice ever so slightly on the ra in order to differentiate between mustaqir and mustaqir. So listen to the difference. If there is no shaddah, it would be mustaqir. But here there is a shaddah, so I must do nabr in order to show that I'm stopping on a letter with a shaddah. Mustaqir. You can hear the emphasis. And now we move on to condition number 2, or situation number 2, whereby we must do nabr. And this is whenever we are reciting a waw or a ya that has a shaddah on it. So in this instance, nabr is done in order to avoid making mad. And as we know, mad means to stretch. So we have 4 examples. We have al-quwwa. So here we have a waw with a shaddah on it. So whenever we have a waw or a ya with a shaddah on it, we must raise our voice slightly. We must do nabr in order to avoid making mad. Al-quwwa, al-quwwa. So if I break it down, we have al-quwwa. In this example here, we have 2 waws. We have a shaddah. It's very easy to say al-quwwa, al-quwwa, al-quwwa. If we don't do the nabr, if we don't raise our voice and emphasize the fact that there is a shaddah here, meaning that there is 2 letters, it is very easy to make mad. Al-quwwa, al-quwwa, al-quwwa. This is mad. Instead, it must be al-quwwa, al-quwwa, al-quwwa. I'm raising the voice slightly to show that there are 2 letters. Likewise in qawwamuna, qawwamuna, we have a waw, mushaddada, we have a waw with a shadda. So I need to show that there are 2 letters here, and I need to do nabr. If I don't, I can easily do mad. For example, qawwamuna. Here I'm not doing nabr. Qawwamuna, I'm doing madleen. Qawwamuna, but I must do nabr instead. Qawwamuna, qawwamuna, qawwamuna. I'm raising my voice ever so slightly in order to show that there is 2 letters. So condition number 2 for do nabr is whenever we recite a waw or a ya with a shaddah. Likewise, if we take a look at an example with a ya, we have here ghayya, ghayya, ghayya. We will not say ghayya because we have slipped into mad. We raise our voice ever so slightly in order to show that there are 2 letters and in order to avoid making mad. So whenever we have a waw or a ya with a shadda on it, we do nabr. Ghayya. And in the last example, shawqiyya, shawqiyya, shawqiyya. As you can hear, I'm raising my voice slightly. I'm not saying shawqiyya, shawqiyya, because then I'm slipping into mad. Instead, I'm doing nabr because there is a ya with a shadda on it here. Shawqiyya. So far we've covered whenever we stop on a letter that has a shadda on it, other than a noon or a meme or one of the qalqala letters, we do nabr. We raise our voice slightly to show that there are 2 letters. So that's when we stop on a letter with a shadda. We've also covered whenever we have a waw or a ya with a shadda on it, we also do nabr in order to avoid making mad. Now the third instance in which we do nabr is whenever we have a mad followed by a shadda. This is because, and you may have guessed, there is a shadda. We need to let the listener know that there are 2 letters, one sakina and one mutaharrika. We need to give every letter its right. So, as stated, a letter with shadda means there are 2 letters, one sakina and one mutaharrika. So if a mad is followed by a shadda letter, then nabr must be done in order to make this clear. So in other words, whenever there is mad lazim kalimi muthaqqal, we do nabr. We've covered in previous videos that mad lazim kalimi muthaqqal is whenever we have mad tabi'i, so natural mad, followed by a shadda. We stretch this for 6 harakat. And after this mad, there is a shadda letter, right? And we need to show that there is 2 letters, so we do nabr. There's a very common error amongst people reciting the Quran is whenever they read the word ad-dallin in Surah Al-Fatiha. Many reciters do not do nabr and they make it sound as if there's only one lam. They will say ad-dallin. This is because they do not do nabr. But we should do nabr. It should be غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. L. Notice I did the nabr. I said الضالين الضالين الضالين. I'm not saying الضالين, I'm saying الضالين. We are doing the nabr. We are making it clear that there are two letters here. So whenever we have med followed by shaddah, we do nabr. Whenever we have med, lazim, kalimi, muthaqqal, we do nabr in order to show that what is after the med is shaddah, and in order to highlight and make it clear that shaddah means there are two letters, one sakina and one mutaharrika. And now we move on to circumstance or situation number 4, in which we will do nabr. So whenever we stop on a hamza that's preceded by a med, we do nabr. In this instance, it's not to do with the shaddah, it's because we need to make it clear that there is a hamza there. Remember, I've stated time and time again, we need to give every single letter its individual right. So with the shaddah, we had to show that there's a shaddah there, and this is why we did nabr, because shaddah means there are two letters. Likewise with the hamza, it's very easy to not pronounce the hamza, and then whoever's listening will not know that there is a hamza there. So nabr is done in this instance to make clear that there is a hamza there. So whenever we stop on a hamza preceded by a med, or another way to look at it is whenever we have a med followed by a hamza which we are stopping on, we do nabr. We make it clear that there is a hamza there. So if we look at an example here, we have as-sama'i, as-sama'i. Many reciters may say as-sama'. Notice you can't hear the hamza. Listen again, as-sama'. Whereas if we do the nabr, as-sama', I raise my voice slightly and then the listener knows that there is a hamza there. I will say it again without nabr, as-sama', and now I'll say it again with nabr, as-sama'. In the second example, I'm doing nabr. I'm raising my voice ever so slightly because we have med here followed by hamza and I'm stopping on it. So in order to make it clear to the listener that there is a hamza there, I'm raising my voice ever so slightly. So if we look at the next example, quru'in, we have mad here followed by hamza within the same word. So this is mad wajib muttasil, right? We're stopping on it, so we also stretch it for 6 harakat. So we will not say quru'. I've not made it clear that there's a hamza there. You can't even tell that there's a hamza there. Instead we will say quru'. I made it clear that there's a hamza there. Likewise in this example here, an-nasi', we have mad followed by hamza in the same word. We have mad wajib muttasil, so whenever we stop on it, it will be an-nasi'. Nabr, we raise the voice. Likewise in shay'in, we have mad, we have hamza with mad before it, so mad wajib muttasil, and we're stopping on it, so we'll stretch it for 6 harakat and do nabr. We will raise our voice in order to make clear that there is a hamza there. So it will be shay'. And in the last example, once again we have a hamza preceded by mad, so if we're stopping on it, it will be as-saw'. And lastly, we look at the 5th instance or the 5th circumstance in which we do nabr whilst reciting the Glorious Qur'an. The 5th example is whenever we pronounce the alif of muthanna, the alif of dual. This only occurs in 3 instances in the Noble Qur'an, so it's easier just to learn the 3 examples and then apply the nabr here. So students of Arabic may recognize that these 3 words are past tense verbs in the dual form. Because they are followed by a sakina, if we read without nabr, then the listener may think it's a singular verb instead of a dual. So for this reason, we must recite it with nabr. As I mentioned, for this specific instance, because it only applies to 3 particular words, it's easier just to learn the words and remember we must do nabr here, but of course I've mentioned the reason why. So the 3 examples are ذاق الشجرة وقال الحمد لله and واستبق الباب. So here in the word ذاق, we have the alif of dual, and then but because it is followed by shaddah, of course we connect it to the shaddah because we mentioned that shaddah is like a magnet. It attracts whatever haraka is before it. If I don't read with nabr, it sounds like ذاق الشجرة, ذاق الشجرة. It sounds like I'm completely omitting this alif, ذاق الشجرة. But in this instance we need to make it clear that this alif is here because it is a dual word. If we don't, it sounds like it is a singular word. So we will say ذاق الشجرة, ذاق الشجرة, ذاق الشجرة. We are raising the voice, we're doing a nabr in order to make clear that this is a dual verb, not a singular verb. And the same applies in this second example. وَقَالَ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ. Here we have alif of dual, but because there is a sukoon, the haraka is attracted to it because sukoon is also like a magnet. But we do not say وَقَالَ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ. We say وَقَالَ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ. We do the nabr, we make it clear. وَقَالَ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ, وَقَالَ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ. We do the nabr in order to make it clear that there is another alif here. This is alif of muthanna, alif of dual. And in the third example we have وَاسْتَبَقَ الْبَابِ. We have alif of dual here, but because of this sukoon, the haraka before it is attracted to it because it is a powerful magnet. And we cannot say وَاسْتَبَقَ الْبَابِ because then it's not clear to the listener that this is alif of dual. Instead we say وَاسْتَبَقَ الْبَابِ, وَاسْتَبَقَ الْبَابِ, وَاسْتَبَقَ الْبَابِ. We do the nabr, we raise the voice. For the fifth circumstance in which we do nabr, as I've stated, it is easier just to remember the specific words or the specific instance as opposed to remembering the rule, because it is easier that way. From a perspective of ease, it is easier just to remember that in ayah number 22 of Surah Al-A'raf and ayah number 15 of Surah Al-Naml and ayah number 25 of Surah Yusuf, we have nabr. ذَاقَ الشَّجَرَةِ وَقَالَ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ and وَاسْتَبَقَ الْبَابِ. In these three words we do nabr in order to show that they are dual verbs and not singular. So to recap everything, in this lesson we've learnt that nabr means to raise our voice. We do this in order to make it clear that there is another letter there which will not be heard if the nabr is not done. We've mentioned that there are 5 scenarios in which nabr will apply. The first of them being stopping on a mushaddada letter. So stopping on a letter that has shaddah, except noon or mim mushaddada or a qalqala letter. This is because it's already clear, because we will pronounce the gunna or we will make a very strong qalqala, we will do a qalqala kubra. The second instance is when reciting a waw or a ya with a shadda on it. This is in order to avoid doing mad and to make it clear that the waw or ya has a shadda on it. The third example is whenever we have mad followed by shadda. Mad followed by shadda. So mad lazim kalimi muthaqqal. Whenever we have mad lazim kalimi muthaqqal, so mad followed by shadda, we do nabr in order to make it clear that there is a shadda letter, in order to make it clear that there are 2 letters as part of the shadda, not 1. We've covered number 4, whenever we stop on hamza. So whenever we stop on a hamza preceded by mad. So whenever we stop on a hamza that has mad before it, we do nabr in order to make clear that there is a hamza there. And we covered scenario number 5, which is whenever we read the alif of dual. We said it only applies to 3 specific words in the Glorious Qur'an. These were ذَاقَ الشَّجَرَةِ وَاسْتَبَقَ الْبَابِ and وَقَالَ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ. We mentioned for this 5th type it's easier just to remember the specific scenario as opposed to remembering the rule. But of course we mentioned the rule as well for the purpose of completion. It's because there's alif of muthanna, there's alif of dual, and when we read it, it's easy to hear it as a alif of mufrad. It's easier to hear it as alif of singular. So it's for a grammatical reason. But as I said, for this specific instance, it's easier just to remember the 3 specific scenarios, which we stated were ayah number 22 of Surah Al-A'raf, ayah number 15 of Surah Naml, and ayah number 25 of Surah Yusuf. But with that, we come to the end of this lesson, and we've actually finished this course as well, alhamdulillah. So by now you should inshallah be at a intermediate to possibly even high level of Tajweed. Now you've essentially got all the tools you need, inshallah, and you are at a level for higher, like expert level study, inshallah. So first and foremost, we thank Allah for letting us complete this course. Inshallah, you act upon it and you apply what you've learned. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and to share this course and to share this video, and so we can all share in the rewards. And of course, if you have any questions or queries, you've got the Telegram chat, you can ask me a comment, you can send me an email, however you prefer, and I will get back to you, inshallah. But that's it from me. Take care, and I'll see you on the other side, inshallah. Ma'as salama.